So what's going on, guys? I'm Briley Taylor. We're doing another off-road Obits with my boy Stephen Key.
Sup?
Deuces, y'all. So Stephen Key, I've known him for what? How many years have we known each other?
I've been in North Carolina since 2009. I think we met probably around 2010, 2011. I mean, WJ days.
Yeah. I think I met you. You had a YJ.
Yeah, I've had a plethora of vehicles.
Well, I think the first time I met you, we were at some Jeep event in like Winterville. Is that the first time?
So the first time we actually met and hung out and actually got to know each other, I think we'd met in passing, small town USA.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Well.
You live in a county with 25,000 people. You're bound to bump shoulders at some point. But yeah, it was a back the blue ride from Granger Stadium here in Kinston to McAllister's in Greenville.
Yep.
And that's when the YJ was orange.
Yep.
I had just got done painting it.
And I think we got introduced through like Trey Basden too.
Yeah. So
he was in the Jeeps then.
Yeah, Trey
For like 10 minutes.
Yeah, for like I think he had 2 or 3 Jeeps in like a week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I worked with Trey, and you and Trey knew each other. So we kind of bumped into each other and finally put faces with names at that event. It was a really good event. I got kicked off the RTI ramp.
Sick. Yep. I think I think they made me get down off the WJ too.
Yeah. So you went before I did, and you just drove past because on the side of the RTI ramp they had. It was a club owned, and I have no clue what club it is. But they had like everybody's name and their score, and like you just drove past everybody, and I was like, "That's sick."
In a WJ,
in a WJ, and then like I have like the crappiest ragged out YJ spring over factory springs 36 TSLs, and I just like start driving up it, and the guy's like, "Your tire spun," and I was like, "No, it didn't." He's like, "Your tire spun." And I was like, "Dude, it's like fully locked. It didn't spin." And he's like, "The wheel's off the ground." I was like, "No." I was like, "Whatever, dude." I was like, it's cool.
The guy probably had like Tahoe or something.
Yeah, he probably had like a Tahoe or like a Zuzuzu Trooper or something.
Oh, no.
No, I love Troopers, man. My uncle had one, and we used to beat the fire out of that thing. I mean, it just kept going.
I have a love-hate relationship with Isuzus. The first vehicle I ever was in a rollover in was an Isuzu Rodeo.
Okay. I mean, that was definitely, it lived up to its name.
A 5-speed rodeo that it had like 31-inch like original KM,
like the KM1s or whatever.
Yeah, mud terrains. And,
oh my God,
dude! I rolled that thing like I thought I was gonna die.
So I've had a lot of vehicles. I've got a lot of experience wheeling. I have never accidentally rolled. I'll put it like that. Actually, last not this off-road affair, but the one before, when we dug the trench and I was driving through it, I was like trying to flop because I'm like, I have a cage. I kind of,
I need to use it. Like, I paid for this cage. I'm going to use it.
Right. I have a cage. I mean, let's use it. Unfortunately for my wife, I like to test the strengths and weaknesses of certain products.
So you're not from North Carolina?
No, I am not.
And you got into off-roading how?
So I'm originally from Kentucky.
We can tell.
Yeah, the accent probably. I don't think I have one, but no, I grew up in Kentucky. I bounced back and forth between Eastern Kentucky and Western Kentucky. It's kind of like Eastern North Carolina and Western North Carolina. Pretty much the same thing. So Western Kentucky is just kind of like hill country, really gradual. Eastern Kentucky is like mountains, like what most people would say Cherokee is here. So in Eastern Kentucky, like there's log roads everywhere. Well, I grew up in a house with wood heat.
That's sick.
No, it sucked. It was terrible. I'm also the oldest son in my family, so
you were the wood chopper.
I was a wood chopper.
Like, we're old, man.
So I learned to drive when I was like 11. My dad had a 65 GMC 1-ton dually 305 straight six with stacks. And
Naturally.
it sounded like the Jeepers Creeper truck. It was sick. 4-speed granny gear. My dad taught me to drive in that, and his encouragement was, I'm driving, and every time I shifted, if I missed a gear, he'd reach over and just slug me. It's like,
No, Daddy, no.
yeah, pretty much. My dad's a huge prankster. I mean, you've met him at the JeepAffair and seen the thing that he let me do with their brand new Jeep. We'll get to that later in the podcast. Don't let me test drive your vehicles. But so it was kind of, I learned to drive out of necessity. So my childhood best friend, Jay Cobb, and his family lived on the farm down the road from us. Well, they had a late 80s Toyota 4x4, and Eastern Kentucky rust is terrible. So it was a extended cab, 4-wheel drive with a flatbed. It was cool. Like, back then it was like, oh, this is a piece of crap. Now looking back, it's like, that was a really sick truck.
Like, I wonder where that truck is now.
I believe they still have it. I believe they still have it. And they also had like a 93, 94 Nissan hardbody. So I have a love affection for hard bodies. I've had several.
Those are like looking back, those are really cool trucks. The hard bodies.
One of my goals is to build a straight axled hard body because they're driver's side drop. Mm-hmm. They're driver's side drop. Dana 44 out of a Wagoneer. Cole's 3-link.
There used to be a guy. His name's Jameson Murphy. He used to live off of Noose Road. And he was like the first vehicle that I ever saw like in person as like a little kid. He had a solid axle swapped like Nissan hardbody.
That is
like 37s.
That is honestly goals for me because like that's what I learned to wheel in was a Nissan hardbody, and we would take off. Like 13 years old, we would take off, and we're like, all right, we're gonna go cut wood, and we throw chainsaws, and I mean that's what it was. And the terrain back home, it was it was tough. It was old logging roads. That's what we grew up driving on and learning to drive and everything. We didn't know what wheeling was. We was just like, oh, we're gonna go chop wood.
This is just like a way of life around here.
Yeah, it was a way of life. Then. I'd had a couple other trucks between those, and I hate to admit it, but I went through a mini trucking phase.
Dude, that's a cool phase.
For a while. And my cousin back home, Jimmy Key, he's built several that's been in like mini trucking, stuff like that. I mean, he just does like fabrication. Like that was my introduction to fabrication, was watching him, and I was like, this is sick. Like this the bug bit me. And then growing up, I'm from Bowling Green, Kentucky, which is synonymous for Corvettes. It's the only place in the world they're made. So my grandfather worked at the Corvette factory. My grandmother worked for Holley Carburetors.
Dude, I bet like Christmas around your house.
Dude, Christmas was sick.
Like, it's like Mr. Deeds. Like
here's a 750 double pumper. It's like he doesn't know how to walk. He can tune that. But so I grew up around it. My grandfather worked at the Corvette factory. He was a mechanic on the side. So I grew up in a shop. And my goal throughout my entire life, I've always wanted a modest house with a decent shop. Well, my house that I live in now is like a mirror image of the house my grandparents had in Kentucky.
That's cool.
It's really weird. So I grew up around it. I've always been in the hot rods. We have Beach Bend Dragway in Bowling Green. They have the Holley LS Fest East there.
Yeah, I was about to say LS Fest is somewhere over there.
Yeah, it's held in my hometown.
We need to go to that.
It's really cool. My brother Tyler, that comes out and helps us with the off-road affair, he actually worked at Beach Bend, and he actually got to meet David Freiberger and Finnegan.
No way.
He got to meet them, and he actually has a piece of the wiring harness of the General Mayhem.
No.
They were having electrical issues, a short somewhere, and they cut it out, and they like threw it in the trash can next to him. My brother's like, doop. Well, my brother's there, like working, like emptying trash cans and stuff like that, and he's like, "Hey," and they're like, "Yeah, go ahead."
Dude, that is probably one of my favorite roadkill builds.
I really like that one. That was kind of like get it running, don't get it right, just get it running kind of thing. And that's kind of like, you've seen my builds. That's kind of,
dude. Where are we at right now?
Right. Well, I mean, how many times have I roadkilled my Jeeps to the events?
Several times, even at the event. I think that was one podcast we talked about, like you, because like I saw you like a month before the Jeep event.
Yeah.
You're like, man, I can't make it. My Jeep is in like a million pieces. It doesn't have a motor in it or something.
Yeah. So I had a little backstory on that. My TJ I have now replaced my original YJ. I had a shop fire. I lost everything, and I was stretching the wheelbase on the YJ, so it was on jack stands. there was no saving it. So I'm like, we get the insurance money to rebuild the shop and replace everything, and I'm like moping around, and my wife's like, go buy another Jeep. And I was like,
okay.
Okay. So we go and buy it, and I think it had like 140,000 miles on it. So drove the absolute wheels off of it. Got up to about 180-ish, and it just started ticking one day. And I was like, huh. You know, like,
still shifts fine.
I'm like, it just had this tick in it. It was more of a annoyance than anything.
That is annoying.
And like, I'll beat the crap out of my stuff, but like if they start making a noise that isn't normal for it,
yeah,
I have to find out. I take it apart, I look at it, and I'm thinking it's a lifter tick, a valve tick. You know, the 4.0s are synonymous with lifter ticks, and it's not my daily driver, so it does set for periods of time sometimes, and sometimes lifters just crap the bed.
It happens.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, cool, well, everything checks out, everything's good, and I went, okay, slap it back together. I kept having, ever since I had the Jeep, every time I checked the radiator, my fluid was black. It didn't matter if I put antifreeze in it, water in it, it didn't matter. I could not get it clean. And it's like, I'm not losing combustion anywhere. It's not mixing. So I did something that I'd never done before, and I did a chemical flush. And then my tick started after that. So I was like, maybe the two are connected. So we take it apart. An old friend of mine was like, man, you really need to like drop the bottom end and like check the oil pan. And I was like, nah, dog. And he's like, no, you really? I was like, nah, dog. Like, I know what I'm going to find because it's not from the top, so it's in the bottom. Finally decided, drop the oil pan, and found half a piston skirt.
No.
Yeah, like a entire half of a piston skirt. The bottom half of the piston was gone. And I was like, huh.
Just going to put that back up there.
That's what I literally did. I had to drive it. So I was just like, take this out. And I drove it for like 2 more weeks like that. I was like, I've got to fix it. So I pulled the motor, take everything apart, had to take a 3-foot extension and a dead blow to beat that piston out of cylinder 4.
What year is that Jeep?
It's a 98.
98.
Yep, it's a 98. Ended up scoring the piston, or not the piston, but the cylinder wall. So it's just enough you can catch a fingernail on it. And I'm like, let's do it right. The motor that's in it, I bought for $50. Drove to New Bern, bought it for $50 because the guy was like, bought it for a customer Jeep. They bailed on me. It's in my way. I was like, all right, cool. He's like, I don't know anything about it. And I was like, well, I'm going to rebuild it. So doesn't matter. I built it from the ground up, built the motor myself. And this was during COVID. Well, I was putting piston 4 in to the new motor and block, and the cheap AutoZone O'Reilly ring compressor. I snagged one of the rings and broke it.
Oh man!
And I don't know if you know this or not, but you can't buy a single set of rings. You have to buy the whole set.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I learned the hard way. So ended up having to order another set of rings. Well, this is during COVID, and guess what everybody ran out of? 4.0 piston rings for some reason.
Everybody was trying to rebuild their motors during Corona.
Yeah, it's like, well, the off-road parks are closed. Might as well, got 350,000 miles on it. Might give it a love.
And how much sense does that? I know it's getting off topic, but how much sense did that make? Did they closed a bunch of off-road parks because of COVID?
It's like when we go off-roading, it's like we're literally trying to separate ourselves from society and people. It's like, I know with your job and my job, and I won't get into what we do, but we deal with people. That's our job, is dealing with people. When I'm off work, I don't want to deal with people. I just want to deal with me. I don't want to deal with my wife, my kids, and just leave me alone. Let me go to the shop, put on some angry music, and in 35 minutes, I'm going to be throwing tools.
It's like you're in a music video.
Yeah. Yeah, so it took me... I ordered piston rings 3 times, and I kept getting them. They kept sending me the wrong stuff. And I was like, well, this is not a small block Chevy. Why do I have this? So if you need random piston rings, let me know. I have a couple sets. But I got it back together. And got it ready, and I think it was the first Jeep event was coming up. I was like, dude, I can't miss this. I've got to. This is in my backyard, literally.
Yeah.
But I ran into you somewhere, and you was like, hey, man, you coming? I was like,
I don't have the motor in yet.
The motor's out of it. I'm waiting on a transmission from Florida. Yeah, I doubt it. And then I think I texted you 2 days before, and I was like, hey, I got the motor in.
I was like, I remember you texted me, I was like, yeah, you're not going to make it. You were like, I'm going to try to make it. I was like, yeah, you're not going to make it. And then I'm walking around the JeepAffair, and I see you, and you're sweaty, and you're like, hey, man, I got the Jeep here.
Do you have a 9/16?
Yeah. And I was like, are you still working on it? Yeah, I just got done, putting in the something?
So I got it running, got it driving, didn't have a clutch. I'm a hoarder of random Jeep parts. So I had a couple slave cylinders that I was just in a box under my workbench. And I'm just throwing, I don't know what works, what doesn't work, what's good, what's not good. So I'm just laying in the field at the JeepAffair, putting in slave cylinders, hoping one of them works. None of them worked. But I still drove.
Yeah. You might say, how? Don't worry about it.
When in doubt, rev match it out. You don't need a clutch if you get the RPMs just right.
Yeah, I mean, it synchronizes up.
Yeah, it's perfect. So, yeah, that was the first Jeep event that I went to at the fairgrounds, and I was hooked after that.
That's awesome.
And I have a long history of driving my Jeeps very hard.
Yes, I will confirm that. Yeah. That's very true. Because you're normally, if you weren't on the committee with us, you'd probably win the donut contest every year.
I mean, so me and my wife was talking about that earlier. I saw the episode with Kenneth in it, and Kenneth's a very, very close friend of mine. We've been friends for probably 15 years. Misty, my wife, was she's like, yeah, I remember the last Jeep event I went to, you had just got it running, and you're out there just slinging donuts, and I'm yelling at you to stop, and you're not stopping, and the guy behind me is like, he's gonna blow it up, and she's like, yeah, and he'll just put another motor in it just to do this dumb stuff again.
I feel like I've drove your Jeep more at the fairgrounds than my own combined.
Yeah, so the last event we had, I didn't even drive my Jeep. I drove it there,
And
I didn't drive the course at all. And every time I turned around, it was like, oh, well, there goes my Jeep. There goes my Jeep. And it was like every time somebody drove past, it was a different person.
Like, I got mad one time because I went to go get your Jeep and somebody else was driving it. And I was like pissed off. I was like, man, what the heck? Like, I need this vehicle.
Yeah, it's like I look out there and my Jeep is out there doing recoveries. And I'm like, I'm standing there with the clipboard, running the off-road games that we started last year. I'm like trying to like herd cats doing that. And like, there's my Jeep doing a recovery, some random person. And it's like, well, the winch controller's under the seat. That's all.
That was me pulling. I had to pull Stacy out.
Oh, nice.
He drove up on the tires like 5 times.
Yeah.
Those tires, man.
Those tires will get you. Like, as long as you have momentum to get over them, you're good. But if it ever catches your skids, you're done.
Yeah. As soon as any weight gets applied to your belly on any of those tires,
you're done. And see, that's the thing with me. Like, I've wheeled in multiple states just because where I've lived and everything. So I've wheeled everything from Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina. So I've been around.
What brought you to Kinston?
A wrong turn.
Whoops.
And a divorce.
Yikes.
Yeah. So that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
So like at the fairgrounds, like I cut loose. There's not a lot of traction out there. I know what I can get away with. Mm-hmm. And like when we went to Uori, when the group went to Uori in May, like I think you guys kind of saw a different side of me wheeling.
A little more modest.
A lot more modest, more technical.
Like the RPMs were around the 2,000 range. Mostly.
So
not like the 5,000.
5. Rev limiter's at 6. And I will give myself credit. The exhaust on my Jeep sounds. It doesn't sound like a tractor. Mm-mm. It doesn't sound like a typical 4.0.
No, you're right about that.
So I love like that right at rev limiter, not bouncing, but like that throaty, just like in your face. I love that sound, and it's really bad on parts when you love the sound of your own exhaust.
Yeah, that is very true.
And believe it or not, I have a full exhaust on my Jeep.
Like all the like from the header back.
So it has aftermarket header, downpipe. Then it goes to a emissions compliant catalytic converter.
Yes.
And then it goes to a Flowmaster FX bullet muffler that is about that long. And then it's just normal pipe all the way out. And
did that come on the Jeep? Or?
No.
Oh, you put that on?
Yeah.
When you did the motor? So
that Jeep's had a couple different exhaust systems on it. When I got it, it had the factory exhaust on it. And it was terrible. Like driving back from Wilmington, I was like, this sucks. I can actually hear the radio.
This is terrible.
So
I remember seeing that Jeep for sale on NC 4x4. Is that where you found it? Or was it?
So I saw it on NC 4x4, and then I saw it on Facebook, and then I saw it on Craigslist. And I was like, oh, that's sick. Because what really drew me to that Jeep was the Poison Spider fenders on it.
Mm-hmm.
It had the Brawler Highlines. And I was like, oh, that is. And it was in mint condition when I got it. I mean, it still had the factory Weston, like little crappy steps on it. Mm-hmm. Like, weren't even sliders. It was steps.
I still remember like the picture, like the first one, it was in a parking lot, like the ad picture.
Yeah.
It was clean as crap, and it was sitting in a parking lot, like
it was in
at this direction.
Yeah, it was typical college kids.
Yeah, college. It was like dorms, not dorms. What are they called?
Apartments. Yeah,
like
yeah,
college apartments.
Yeah, so the kid I bought it from lived in Wilmington and went to UNCW. So and his parents live in Wilmington, so we met them at their house. Yeah, bro. I remember seeing it, and I mean, he was asking like stupid money for it, and I was like, nah, Like, I want another Jeep, but I don't want one that bad. So I watched this Jeep go from like 10.5, which back in the day was ridiculous for a TJ.
Now that's normal.
Yeah, now it's normal. So I watched it get to like, I think it was 8. And I was like, I mean, I've got the money, but cheap.
Yeah.
So we drive down there. My parent-in-laws live in Oak Island, so it's like, we're just, if we don't buy the Jeep, we'll just go visit them, you know? We drive down there, and the kid's like, really trying to like hit me with that salesman pitch, and I'm like, bruh.
Yeah, man, it's got like the mud tires.
It had KM1s on it.
Oh, that's good.
I hate those tires. Like, I hate those tires because it's like, that's all you saw.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, that's all you saw, and it's just like, oh, they're terrible. But it had KM1s on it, and 33-inch KM1s and Alcoa soft 8 bullet hole chrome wheels. I was like, oh, this is so no.
It's so college kid.
Yeah, really college kid. I think it had the like Hawaiian floral seat covers too.
Yeah.
If it would have had the cool beaded ones, I would have left them.
Yeah,
I love those things.
That would be pretty sick.
I mean, it had a brand new Best Top NX top on it. It had brand new worn bumpers front and rear, brand new Poison Spider. I mean, the kid put a lot of money in it. Mm-hmm. He was like showing it to me, and I was like, I've already made up my mind. I'm buying it. Now let's talk price. So I like lowballed him just to see, you never know unless you try. And he's like, it's got these fenders, and we had my dad's friend's a body guy, and he cut the hood, and you've seen my hood.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Like with the hood closed,
it's like bat winged.
With the hood closed, you can stick your hands.
Yeah,
you can stick your hands in.
So to me, I'm like, look, man, I've got to get a new hood for this thing. This is terrible. I'm like,
your dad's friend should not do body work.
Yeah, right. And it had some the typical TJ paint pill on the top of the hood. And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna have to get a new hood. And I'm like, that's a couple $100. I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like, I drove a really long way to like come here. I mean, it's 2 hours.
Yeah.
And he was like, would you do 7? And I was like, yeah, I think I can do 7.
Yeah.
So I ended up buying it. I've beat it ever since. Like,
you've got your 7 out of it.
It does not owe me a dime. Like, I think I'm on rear axle number 3 or 4. Still have the original axle in the front that I know of. I do believe that Jeep has been in a wreck. Because if you ever look at my Jeep head-on, look at my TJ head-on, the grill's kind of crooked. It has like a cant to it. And the only thing that I can figure is probably front end damage.
I think Locklear's had that.
Yeah, Locklear's was definitely definitely wrecked.
Yeah, it was rocked.
Yeah. I know who you bought that Jeep from, and I remember that Jeep before it was built, and it was like in pristine condition. And then like when I came here to the shop and you was like, hey, come check this out, and I saw the damage, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That did not used to be like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's come a long way.
His Jeep is like, so I've always had a certain build in mind, and then when I saw Locklear's build, like the build that you did on it, it made me rethink. It's like, I don't need 1-tons and 40s to have fun. Like, I'm having fun on Dana 35, my bald 33s.
Yeah. You can party with that. Like,
dude, I party with those. Like, I've gotten, ever since I traded for those tires, like since I've had those tires, and I got those tires a month after I got the Jeep, I've gotten crap everywhere I've went with those tires, and I love them.
They probably got, 100,000 miles on those tires, probably.
I mean, just from the rotation.
I guarantee you, your rear tires have a lot more miles on them than your front.
Yeah. So I forgot who it was sent me an Instagram reel, and it was just this Jeep like pegged on rev limiter, just smoking them. And I was like, dude, that's sweet. And I was like, oh, that's my Jeep. It was a random Instagram reel. I don't know whose it was.
That's funny.
And I was like, that's kind of cool. Like, somebody thought my Jeep was cool enough to like make a reel, and it got back to me. Like, that's so cool. It's kind of like when you're driving, like, I know you get this with your rigs, but you're driving, you see that little kid just like look at you.
Yeah. Just like a thumbs up.
And it's like, that is worth every like penny
Yeah.
I've ever spent.
Yeah. Like if you look cool to like a little kid or something, like,
Yeah.
you've done something.
So I remember my first, like, I didn't have Jeeps until the YJ. When I met you, that was my first Jeep. So I've only had Jeeps for maybe the last 10, 11 years, maybe.
You were into what, Toyotas before that?
So I actually drove a 82 Toyota 4x4 SR5. It had a 22R with a 4-speed
Dude, that's gold.
with 38-inch boggers.
That's even better. Super Swampers.
Manual steering.
Yes.
I drove it a daily. Like, I was a poor kid from Eastern Kentucky. Like,
Have to hold it in second gear to the floor to get up the mountain crests.
no, dude, that's first and low. But so it was blue, and there's a place where I'm from called Lock 5. Okay, so locks are on the river. They're kind of like dams. So Lock 5 is notorious where I lived. So we used to go out there, and they built this boat dock and everything out there. Well, on the side of the hill, they just dumped rock for like erosion.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna go up that. We're going up it, right? My dad's in the passenger seat, and my brother-in-law is in the back of it, holding on to the 1980s like 4-inch tube roll bar with the KCs.
So he's in the bed of the truck.
Yeah, he's in the bed of it.
Okay.
And I am just like giving it everything, and we're just like bouncing, right? So the SR5s were royal blue with gold stripes. Well, I hit a bad bounce, and a piece of Bondo in the hood just came unlocked. And I was like, huh, that looks terrible now.
So did you end up making it up that hill?
I did. I did make it up. I made it up several times. And then I think the next time I went out there, I took my high school sweetheart out there and was showing off. I didn't realize the nice new Silverado that was forest green was the forestry guy watching me do it, and was promptly told, "Hey, bud,
Let's not do that.
I get what you're doing, but let's not do it."
At least not in front of me.
Right. So I quit doing that because like I'm a big one on like keeping trails open and treading lightly and stuff. Like as a kid, you didn't know that kind of stuff. So now like if I'm on the trail, like I'm a firm believer in pack out more than you packed in.
Yeah.
Because back home in Kentucky, we have privately owned off-road parks. We have public land. We have, you can talk to your neighbor next door, and you can go wheeling log paths and stuff like that. We don't have that here. It's what, a 3.5 hour ride for us to go to Uwharrie, and that's the only public land in North Carolina other than I think like Brown Mountain or whatever that is. And it's geared more towards side-by-sides and four-wheelers and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of like you can take like stock vehicles.
Yeah, there's a trail up towards Asheville somewhere.
Hurricane
Creek.
Yeah.
And I'd like to go try that, but like the videos that I've seen on YouTube and stuff, it's kind of like I really don't want to make that drive just for that.
It's like 6 hours from Kinston.
Yeah, it's 6 hours from Kinston, and I think it's only like 3 miles long. It's not very
I just
long.
heard that they not paved it, but they like
graveled it
and made it so like a Subaru could go down it.
Yeah, well, it's a public road. Like people live off of it. Like you're going down it, and there's like, oh well, there's somebody's there's a house. There's a creek.
How would you compare like the trails and stuff in Kentucky to like trails around like Uwharrie?
They're very similar but different. We have a lot of limestone back home. Limestone is very slick. It's almost like sandpaper. It's not like slick rock out in like Moab and stuff like that, but it can get very slick, especially if it rains. Like here, we don't have a lot of limestone, and we have a ton of clay back home too.
So it's like a bunch of wet clay right before a bunch of slick limestone.
Yeah. It's like you're going from slick mud to slick rocks.
That's cool though.
And it's a lot of horsepower back home. I think I remember, like, everybody knows what rock bouncers are. Mm-hmm. I think I remember seeing my first rock bouncer at like 12.
That's awesome.
Like 2002, you know?
Drag car motors.
Yeah, and it was a guy that owned a local automotive shop, and I walk in the shop and I'm like, what is this?
Is that a jungle gym?
It's like, it reminded me of something from like Mad Max.
Yeah.
I got to see it at the local mud bog, and I was like, that thing's kind of sick, because it's like, you know, derby car headers, and it was not what they are now.
Yeah. Like the first rock bouncers, I mean, you know good as anybody, like the first rock bouncers, they were like raw.
It was pretty much rock bouncers. It was a mix between a dune buggy and like a Jeep. It was like if the two had a love child.
Yeah.
Because most of the early rock bouncers were like leaf sprung and like air shocked, or, you know, and they were very crude machines. And now you look at guys like Ken Cameron and Jake Berkey with Busted Knuckle. I mean, those guys have like pioneered stuff.
Like rolled tube.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
some like the mid 2000s bouncers were like works of art.
Yeah.
You know, now they are purpose-built race cars. And the fact that guys like Jake Berkey and Busted Knuckle and all those guys are building these rock bouncers that are DOT approved with a VIN number that you can tag and register is just insane to me. It just blows my mind.
It's like you can just drive to like Sonic and just pull.
Yeah, you can literally, I mean, they make a 4-seater.
Yeah.
Matt Busted Knuckle, the one that does all the filming, he has a 4-seater with car seats in it.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was like, you might be cool like taking your kids to school in the Chief, but like if that dude pulls up in a rock bouncer, it's like, okay, I'm gonna go home and cry now. You know?
Like, I feel like I would, like the last day of school, I would just like haul butt into the parking lot and snatch the wheel and just roll that thing. And
I mean, most of them are 4-wheel steer now too, so I would just crab walk down the carpool lane like, what's up?
Yeah, those are cool though. But I mean, I don't know. I got like, I mean, I'll be straight. I can't afford a rock bouncer.
Oh no, they're
100,000
plus.
But I mean, to me, I would rather see like a full-bodied rig.
Yes.
Go up something like a full-bodied rig on like 37s or 40s. Go up something than like a rock bouncer. I mean,
to me, rock bouncers have their place. Mm-hmm. They most definitely have their place, and the innovation that we get from those rock bouncers trickles down to us as average wheelers. I mean, look at the way that shock valving, has developed.
Arms.
Trailing arms, leading arms. I mean, who would have ever thought about a leading arm setup?
Not us.
Like, I'm like, the first time I saw trailing arms were on a Baja truck, and I was like, dude, that's sick.
Yeah, and now they're like, I mean, I think Barnes even sells like
you can
make your own.
Can weld them together right here in the shop.
Yeah,
and you can do bypasses, coilovers. I mean, to me, like the ultimate rear suspension would be trailing arms, triangulated uppers with shocks and bypasses.
Yeah.
Like, what more do you need?
Yeah.
Like, you want to go fast? Okay. You want to go slow? All right. You want to party? We're down.
We got you, fam. To me, like, there's some rock bouncers that like really impress me, but then there's some of them it's just. Nah.
It's kind of like the ones that the over the top ones, like the Tim Cameron, the Busted Knuckle, Davis Racing. Those are like. When I see a rock bouncer be able to compete with an Ultra 4 car that has hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of R&D and development, and these home built rigs are competing with those and winning, that makes me proud, because it's like the average Joe can do that.
Yeah.
But then you see these like crudely welded, like, I got a buddy that can do it.
Yeah.
Kind of built rigs, and it's like.
But I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'd rather see like an extended cab Tacoma like go up.
Most definitely.
Because like, you know, if I like, I'll catch myself, you know, watching YouTube videos and like I don't really want to see something that's like, you know,
purpose built, like over the top. You knew they threw the entire credit card limit at it.
Yeah, I'd rather see somebody that like built like something in their shop themselves.
Yeah, so like with my Jeep, with my TJ, it is not like I beat the crap out of it. Like there is no doubts about that. It's very modestly built though. It honestly, it has mismatched springs out of something in it. I think the front are.
You got JK springs or something in it?
I've got JK springs in the rear.
Yeah.
I've got 4-door Rubicon JK springs in the rear, and I cannot remember what the fronts are. I could not tell you. And the shocks are Rubicon JK takeoffs. That's been on there for years.
And then you got what? Hyundai, what is it?
Hyundai Tiburon
seats.
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Those seats are sick, though.
Dude, I love those seats.
That's like the coolest part.
I love those
Jeep.
seats. Like I custom. Like I got a kick out of your last video, not your Willin video, but your Comanche seat video. Because I was like, I've been there, dog.
Yeah.
Because mine are custom built, and I made it where the factory sliders from, not the Jeep sliders, but the factory sliders on the Tiburon seat still work.
Tiburon.
And then the fold and tumble from the TJ still works.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
I couldn't, dude. The Comanche ones, I tried, man. But like the Comanche, the transmission
The transmission tunnel on those
huge.
are yeah.
So,
well, and that's the great thing about the TJ is
you got a lot of real estate.
there's not a lot there.
Yeah.
Like hands down, like I will fight with anyone. Like I know everybody's biased against, for their own vehicle. Hands down, TJ LJ best platform ever. I will fight you right now.
Yeah, I would definitely say like the TJs and the LJs, because I mean, like, we've talked about this before.
Yeah. We still need to do our sign at the next event.
Yeah.
Like $1 to argue with us for 5 minutes to prove us wrong.
Like the best budget beginner Jeep or off-road rig would be like
A TJ
or LJ.
A TJ or the LJ kind of gets thrown out budget wise.
But yeah,
the budget wise, I mean, you're not going to find maybe a clapped out LJ for maybe 10.
And you're not going to like it.
No, it's going to be bad. It's going to be roached. So to me, I think if you had $15,000, all right, $15,000 to buy a rig and build a rig, TJ, hands down. And I know people are going to come in the comments and be like, oh, XJ. Yeah, you can do it, but at how much more work? You're already starting with body on frame.
Yes, that is a big one. I've been welding on Chris's XJ for like a month. Like I've almost gone through like a whole like massive.
I've seen the progress you've made. Like when I came over and before you started all the work and you were still demoing it, I was like, oh no.
Yeah, you could stick your whole hand inside of the unibody. And like at first I was like, I don't know if I can fix this. Like I straight up told him, I was like, I'll cut it out.
Yeah.
And I'll see.
Yeah.
But I'm not making like any promises. And
it's turning out great, man. Like getting to see it tonight and the progress like that others haven't seen.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed with it. So you're gonna have to stay tuned for the next episode. I've
got a 40, I think the next video on that one I got done editing today. It's like 47 minutes long.
That is awesome, dude. Like your long form videos are getting so good. Like your editing skills, your storytelling, like you as a YouTuber and storyteller, because that's what you're doing. You're telling a story.
Yeah.
You're like really kind of finding your rhythm.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, I went back and watched because like my kids like on Saturday mornings like they like to watch my YouTube videos.
Yeah, instead of Saturday morning cartoons, let's watch Dad.
Like so my Saturday morning routines, if I don't have to work, it's like King of the Hill, coffee.
Yes.
And then like we'll watch like some of my YouTube videos, and like I went back and
so your kids still like you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're
wait till they're teens.
Yeah, I dread that. I called them screenagers the other day because they were all both on their phones like ignoring me, or not on. They don't have phones, but they were on their little
their tablets. Are they tablet kids?
Yeah, but
dude, COVID screwed us as a society.
Yeah. But anyway, so I went back and watched one of my earlier videos, and it was. One of the first ones I did was like the Comanche, and dude, I couldn't hardly watch it.
Dude, I remember when you got the Comanche, I was like, oh, that is so sick. I love that Jeep, and like, I drove it home for you.
Yep.
And I was like, I gotta have one.
Yeah.
Like that's the only time I've ever driven that Jeep was from the fairgrounds to your house.
Yeah, I love the Comanche, man.
Dude, that is a point and shoot kind of rig.
Yeah.
It is very, very well built, and like, but people don't realize how much work has actually went in that, because that is it coilovered in the front?
No,
it's still coil.
Yeah, I've got coils all the way around.
Yeah. So people don't realize, like, if we were 10 years ago, go back in time 10 years and try to build that Jeep. Could you have done it as easily as you can do it now? Because you can literally go on an Iron Rock.
Yeah.
You can go on Iron Rock's website and buy a 4-link coil kit for a XJ, for a Comanche.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the stuff we were doing 10 years ago and trying to figure it out on our own.
They've got kits now. Yeah, which is like super cool.
It's like the kit that I'm looking at now is the Barnes kit. The 3-link, 4-link for the TJ. Except I have to be extra. I'm going to order it for the LJ and stretch the.
I would.
Well, the goal for the Jeep is to be around 108, 110 inch wheelbase, but still, like, there's a new wave with the TJs. It's called a TJ6. Mm-hmm. They're taking TJs and stretching them to LJ. All right, cool. It's still a TJ. Like, you can do all the body work you want. It's still, that title still says TJ. It does not anywhere on it will it ever say unlimited.
Yeah.
Which each their own. But I want no departure angle. Like, I just want to like back up to something and just drive up it backwards.
Yeah.
And same thing, like I'm planning on stretching the front and the rear. I mean, we've talked about my build. It's slow process. I thought I was getting geared up to get ready to do it, and then house remodel. And it's like,
don't you hate that?
You remember as a kid, like when your parents would tell you to do your chores or something, and you'd be like, I can't wait until I'm 18 or I'm an adult and I don't have to do this anymore. And then it's like, I wish I was a kid again and I could just build Jeeps.
Yeah.
Being
an adult sucks sometimes.
It is not what it's cracked up to be.
No.
I'm like, I have to drum up the energy and the want to walk from the house to the shop. And like, I got really burnt out there for a little bit, because I'm like you, I do a lot of work on other people's stuff. I've built more rigs for other people than I've built my own stuff. That's why my stuff's kind of like cobbled together. And
it's like the cobbler's shoes.
Yeah, always. It's kind of like, everybody's like, oh, buy a mechanic's car. No.
No.
And it's like, I'm going to buy a retired police car. No. No, don't. No.
Those things have like idled for like 48 hours straight before.
Oh, yeah, dude. Parking lot and chill.
It's like the worst thing you can do, especially like the Hemis, the 5.7.
Oh, Hemis. Dude, yes. The first gen Hemis were like terrible.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do love a Crown Vic. If I could figure out a way to straight axle a Crown Vic,
Crown Vics are sick.
Yeah, have you seen the guys out west turning them into pre-runners?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God,
like
that is
Gambler 500
yeah.
builds.
I would love to do a Gambler build.
We need to do like a Gambler 500 like in Lenoir County. Like everybody just build like the crappiest vehicles, and then we'll just go bomb around and just like pick up like trash, because there's plenty of trash.
Dude, I think that would be a really cool event to have, and then like base it out of the fairgrounds like we're doing now, running under our name, but you know,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
like go out towards. I mean, have you been out towards the airport? I can't remember the name of the road; it escapes me. But there's this. It's a back way into the airport. It's one of the old gates, but it's like literally, it looks like the apocalypse back there.
Yeah,
I mean,
where
it is
like
terrible.
Like
Everybody
mattresses
takes
and like
mattresses, couches, like old mobile homes. Like
yeah, like dude, we could all like get together and get like 4 or 5
roll off dumpsters and just have like a day, or like honestly, like they're not doing anything with it now. It's gated off because the area that we live in. But Rivermont,
there's still houses back there.
there's still houses. The VFW's back there.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a church still, if it hasn't flooded again since Matthew. But I mean, we could just do stuff like that. We could take a ride to the beach and pick up the beach.
Or we could like, I mean,
the Croatan's right down the road. I mean, you want dirt road, like the whole Gambler atmosphere, like Catfish Lake Road.
or we could do something at Uwharrie. God knows it could use it.
Well, actually, I saw today, right after we posted the post we made today for the event, there's actually a group the same day of our open course day was scheduled for. They're actually doing a trash pickup work day in Uwharrie, and it's like we need to do more as a off-road community to keep our trails open and to prove to our state representatives that we deserve this.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a right. Like, it's not our right to have public land.
Yeah.
It's a privilege. And the things about privileges are they can be taken away at any time. I mean, look at all the closures of trails out west.
Yeah, they're closing up quick.
Like, there's parts of Moabs that's closing. I mean, parts of the Rubicon. I mean, there's just all this public lands disappearing. And why? Because we don't take care of it.
And you know why I think that so much trash is getting introduced to these trails? This is going to be a maybe a little
let's hear it, because I
controversial. I think side by sides.
I think a lot of it is side by sides, but I'm gonna put it back on the Jeep community. I'm gonna put it back on not the Jeep community, just Jeep owners, but like the off-road community as a whole.
Yeah.
Because if you look, in the last 20 years, the TJ was the most capable. 2009 rolls around and the JK rolls off.
The 4-door JK.
The 4-door JK.
Where everybody gets them.
Everybody, soccer moms, accountants, people lawyers, doctors. I mean, so a lot of people hated the JKs, and I was on that bandwagon for a while until I looked at it in this sense. The JK saved the Jeep company as a whole.
Yeah, because they could. I mean,
they started selling instead of a select group of people that are diehards,
branched out.
They're selling to the masses now.
Yeah, like they're selling because like the TJs and stuff. I would say well over, I'd say 80% of TJs are modified for off-roading in one way or another.
Yeah. Whereas
like a lot of JKs and stuff.
But would you buy a TJ as a daily driver to? You're a family of 4. I'm a family of 4. Okay, my kids are older than yours.
Yeah.
But with your kids being younger, would you try to fit your wife and both your kids in a TJ and drive to the beach or go on a family vacation just to the mountains? Bro, we would pull over at every rest stop and there would be attitude adjustments every 45 miles.
Yeah.
And So with the JK, it was sold to the masses. Well, then the other companies like Toyota, I mean, Toyota weren't doing a whole lot. And then they come out with the new 4Runner.
Yeah.
They come out with the Tacoma. They come out with, the Tundra's pretty capable for a full-size rig. Now Ford's came out with the Raptor. Like, they're, or not the Raptor, but the new Bronco. Like,
yeah.
Everybody's jumping on that wave and riding it. So now, instead of just being stuck with the Jeep or stuck with the Toyota, you can go to any of the big manufacturers in the United States today and buy an off-road capable vehicle. I mean, you've got Tacomas coming factory with 35s.
Like out of the box.
Out of the box, point and shoot. They got a button for everything. Oh, well, there's some rocks. Let's hit rock mode.
Getting back to the trash thing, I think it's a lot of people. There's a lot more people on the trails.
It's an influx of use.
Yeah, they're on the trails that don't appreciate the trails.
They didn't. Yeah, I agree with that 100% because people didn't grow up in that culture.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't grow up in the off-road community where it was preached to us.
Trail etiquette.
Yeah, my first memory of off-roading was my grandfather's CJ8.
That's
and
sick.
Eastern Kentucky, he's got the top off. We're sitting in the back, we're chilling, right?
Smoking beers in the back.
Smoking beers. Well, that's the funny part of the story is we're up in Wolfe County, Kentucky, Cumberland Natural Bridge. Okay, so my mom's family owns some land up there.
Uh-huh.
We're up there. We're bombing, little back roads and whatever. And I'm thirsty, right? Like I'm thirsty. I want something to drink. We've been out in the back of this, rough riding Jeep all day. So I find an Army canteen. I'm like, Grandpa, that water's really spicy. He was like, no. So that's my first memory of off-roading. So it's like, huh. We would get out and we would take breaks and, he would make us pick up trash and stuff, And then it was just like, we're taking care of our land because this is our family's land. But that was one of those life lessons that I learned is just be courteous, be kind, rewind kind of thing. Just do the right thing, even when nobody's watching.
Don't throw your Michelob Ultra cans on the ground. It's not
cool.
It's not hard, not to do.
I mean, literally walk to the back of your Jeep.
And see, the reason
put it in there.
The reason why I say it's the side-by-side people, because for one thing, I've seen a lot of them do it. And another thing is they don't have the storage as the Jeeps do.
They don't have the capacity.
So what do?
But they make trash bags. They make off-road trash bags.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
You can afford the whip antenna, the light up
LEDs,
the LED whip lights, the stupid
the speakers.
The speakers, yeah. What are they? Wet bars or whatever they're called? I can't.
You can hear them from before, so you can hear.
All you hear is country gangster rap.
Dirt road.
I'm a mud digger. It's come on, seriously. I just you struck a nerve.
Have you been to Busco in the past 10 years? How trashed that place is.
I have not been to Busco in a very, very long time, but I also do work in Wayne County.
Yeah.
So I'll say this much: I'm a first responder. So I have a radio that I listen to every day. That's my job. And the weekends are full of... the last weekend I worked, there was 2 accidents at Busco within 20 minutes. They were dispatched at the same time. 2 separate incidents on different ends of the park. And it's side-by-sides and four-wheelers are synonymous with drinking.
Yeah.
And I'm not a huge drinker, but hey, if that's your thing, that's your thing. Do it responsibly, though.
Yeah. It's not hard not to.
What do we see on the trail the most, though? It's not Coca-Cola. It's not Pepsi.
I see Michelob Ultras,
Busch Light.
Busch Lights, and Bud Lights.
And the old Natty Daddies.
Yeah, and yeah.
And it's just pick up after yourself. Be courteous. Would you throw that down in your house? No, you wouldn't.
I don't know.
If I came to your house and like jumped on your couch and just like popped the top and knocked it back and threw it in the corner, like you'd probably want to fight me about it.
Yeah.
Just take care of it. Like if we don't take care of it, future generations, your kids aren't going to have a place to wheel.
But I will say this, that like I got to respect the heck out of Uwari is that they've opened up, a couple of new bypasses and
a new trail.
Like, how many other places have you heard open up new trails?
They're closing them.
Yeah, but Uwari's opened them. So I feel like we need to repay them back. Well, anything else, man, that you want to say before we get off of here?
Nah, I appreciate you letting me come out and just
yeah, man.
Talk about randomness.
Yeah.
Like, this has been a very random episode.
Yeah.
It's been fun though.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I'm sure you'll be back on here.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure I'll be back at some point.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all watching the Off-Road Obits podcast. I really appreciate my buddy Key for coming out. And if you don't mind, hit that like button and make sure that you are subscribed, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, that's a wrap. Whew.